sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
No, it's been pretty common now for many years that you want to run optimum plays and give yourself the best chance for success. So you're trying to have two plays in the huddle or multiple plays at the line of scrimmage or a menu of plays at the line of scrimmage that you have at your disposal so that you're not wasting plays. You only get 60 to 70 in a game. Let's make sure every single one is the best we can do. And so I think that's kind of always been an important part of having a successful offense.
In that Kirk Cousins clip, if you're watching on the Score North YouTube channel or listening on a podcast platform, Judd asked that question to Kirk about getting the two plays. Hey, they're giving you two plays in the huddle, and I sense that your relationship is starting to warm up a little bit. It looked like there was some eye contact from Kirk.
Oh, there's definitely eye contact.
Okay,
yeah, because I stare back uncomfortably.
You don't even blink.
You always got to stare. You always got to look. You got to look back. You can't be.
Eye contact's important.
Did you give him sort of the fake interest reporter nod? The head tilted kind of.
Oh, 100%, of course. Yeah, the eye contact, as Dukes can tell you, the key is eye contact and an acknowledgement of I'm actually paying attention to your response. I might not believe it, but that's not the point. I asked the question, and now you're like, yeah.
Do you jot a note down, even a fake note, as he's answering, just to show him like how interested you are?
I didn't do that.
No? Okay.
I used to do that more.
That'd be too much.
I used to do that more as an old school newspaper guy. I feel like now that's going more and more by the wayside.
Well, you can go back and listen. You can just transcribe.
Yeah, I mean,
the quotes.
The kids definitely don't jot down notes.
The kids.
And I'm like the kids now. I'm like trying to fit in with the kids. So
I think it makes the subject nervous if, oh my God, I'm answering this guy's question. He has now broken eye contact and he's writing things down. What is he writing?
Good point. I like it. Great point.
And now I'm going to get insecure if I'm Kirk Cousins in that spot. So
that's I love it.
Nice job. I mean, from where that relationship was about 10 months ago during training camp, the Frosty Exchanges, just a big congrats to Judd for rebuilding things with
way to go, Judd.
Starting quarterback.
Sports Day.
This, for all who celebrate, is Reckless Speculation Thursday. And that means our friend Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department, the Scoop Podcast, inside information about our favorite Minnesota sports teams. Doogie, what's going on with you, man?
Good morning, gentlemen. Happy Reckless Speculation Thursday. Good morning. I apologize for not making eye contact during that initial back and forth. I actually got a mini twin scoop that I will pass along in a few minutes.
Okay. We're going to make the audience wait for that, actually.
Emphasis on mini, though. Trust me. It is far from groundbreaking, much like that Kirk Cousins answer, by the way. As cliche as it gets. Not like we learned anything in that answer. But yes, I will pass along something that was just texted.
So true.
Well, so we're going to make the audience sit on the edge of their seats for an unspecified amount of time until they get the mini twin scoop here. Let's start with Vikings. Lynn, there's been a couple guys, like Amir Smith Marset was banged up in some way, KJ Osborne. So between you and Judd, we'll start with Doogie here. What can you tell us about banged up Vikings players?
Well, the best news is Irv Smith Jr., based on our video from Channel 5, appeared to be a full participant on Wednesday, the last on-the-field day at the mandatory minicamp. I wasn't sure he would reach full participation status during the minicamp, thought more so training camp late July. So that is really good news. Irv Smith Jr. appears to be good to go. Amir Smith Marset still has the boot on his foot. There was a thought that the boot would come off late last week. Well, it did not, but I am told, quote, super minor injury. He is good to go for camp. So no concern heading into late July with Amir Smith Marset. KJ Osborne, I'm told lower body injury, very NHL-esque. I don't have a specific
LBI
injury, but more so lower body, not upper body. As far as I can tell, though, no grave concern there that he won't be ready for training camp. A couple offensive linemen were out on Tuesday. The rookie Lowe out of Illinois. He was a late-round draft pick. The free agent signee Schlottman. Both guys battled food poisoning. Both guys are fine. Nothing to worry about with Schlottman and Lowe.
Schlottman, huh? Sounds like a guy who would put like a questionable sloppy Joe together, eat it anyways, and then deal with the ramifications.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly hope it didn't come from inside the building. That's the most important thing, that it came from like across the street, maybe a fast food shop. If it came from inside, we got problems. On Irv Smith Dukes, I did see him doing more work, I thought, conditioning work to the side on Tuesday, but you're right. Wednesday, he didn't. And I went to all 5 of the practices that were open, starting with 3 OTAs and then the 2 mandatory mini camps. And Irv Smith did a ton of work here. So I think he's good to go. I think he looks good. I think they would probably, if they were to admit to this, say that he is ahead of schedule at this point. But that's a great sign, too. That's a
tremendous
fantastic
sign.
sign.
Johnny Mutt, the free agent signee from the Rams, another tight end. He is ahead of schedule with his ACL rehab. Heck, Ryan Connolly, I don't even know if he makes the 53-man, but from Eden Prairie High School, the former Wisconsin Badger, still on the Vikings as a linebacker. He's doing well, recovering from ACL surgery. So overall, they are in a pretty good place. I mentioned last week with you guys, Za'Darius Smith was fine. He slept awkwardly. And we saw this week Za'Darius Smith looking great. He was a full participant. So really, heading into training camp, knock on whatever, because these guys will train with their own trainers here. It'll ramp up after the 4th of July. But locally, I know, there's a guy in the East Metro, Ryan Engelbert, who works with Adam Thielen. But a lot of Vikings end up joining Adam at an East Metro high school. So I know Alexander Madison has plans to work out there, a bunch of the offensive linemen. In years past, Garrett Bradbury, Ezra Cleveland. So I know a lot of guys right after the 4th of July will be going pretty hard with their own personal trainers, or at least with a group of guys. But knock on whatever, heading out of minicamp here, the Vikings are in really good shape heading into training camp.
Yeah, what did you? I'm reading some of our friend Kevin Seifert, who's now covering the Vikings again for ESPN.com, Judd's former partner on the Star Tribune beat from the Brad Childress, Mike Tice days. And he's noting, too, some of the same stuff that you guys are saying, that this was just there wasn't like a bunch of positional competition during the spring and early summer portions here. Well, not summer yet, but this was just basically a walkthrough series of OTAs and mini camps. And O'Connell didn't even, like most coaches will pretend like there's 3 days of mandatory mini camp and then they'll cancel the 3rd day for, like, he's just being straight up with everyone, even the media, as much as he can be. So what did you make of the overall just vibe and tone and feel compared to some of the previous camps with other coaches?
It was good. Drama-free. Like, I think about the Chicago Bears. They had to sacrifice a day of mandatory mini camp for violations, right? For some contact that took place, presumably during OTAs. Like, there wasn't anything amiss. It was just rock solid. And we've talked about this. Adversity inevitably will hit. They may lose to Green Bay. Heck, they may lose week 2 to Philadelphia. So they could be 0-2. Maybe they'll be 2-0. But it's entirely possible they start the season 0-2. So then we'll see how they react. But right now, it's kumbaya, right? Like, guys are in lockstep. Guys are enjoying themselves. Many guys have been open about how great this coaching staff is. Mistakes are even welcomed. I know you guys on Purple Daily have gone over Chris Boyd's comments. Trust me, Chris Boyd was speaking for many of his teammates when he suggested, we made a mistake under Zim, that coaching staff, we'd curl up in the fetal position. We were fearing for our jobs. That fear is no longer in place. So it's really, really good right now at TCO Performance Center. Let's discuss
Bradbury, because there's been stories, I think both papers in the past couple days had stories about the fact that, with the option not being picked up on Garrett Bradbury's contract, that he is now sort of challenged. And I think he said he's gained, like 10, 12 pounds, 15 pounds, put on some weight, gotten bigger. This one to me might be, to Phil's point about what Seifert was tweeting, with a lack of competition. I think this one to me is the most intriguing one, too. Because he has gotten a vote of no confidence from the team with the decision not to pick up the option, which is not shocking. But it's interesting then that they also, unless they're planning a training camp competition of sorts, they're also going to give Garrett every chance to prove himself and the fact that he does belong there. And here's what I'm curious about. because we have all seen stories before about guys, I've gained weight. I had to put on weight. I'm eating, 10,000 calories, blah, blah, blah. But where I'm curious about this one too is playing that position takes a tough player. Like you have to be smart and incredibly tough. I always go back to a guy who started off slow, but was just a mean player, Jeff Christie. Jeff Christie excelled in part because he was such an SOB. And I guess what I'm curious about is, does Garrett Bradbury have all of the intangibles? Because I do think he's smart, but does he have the intangibles where he can put on, let's say, 12 to 15 pounds and also now go head-to-head in pass protection against these top interior defensive tackles? I think that, to me, is just going to be so intriguing to watch, because I don't think the weight gain basically means, okay, this is going to be fixed, Dukes.
Well, agree. Yeah, he's now up to 305. He put on, in his words, 10 to 15 pounds.
So he played under 300 pounds last year.
He did.
An NFL starting on.
He loses weight as the season goes, Phil. They drop weight too. That's a major problem for these guys.
He's also a really good guy. I did a feature story on him, his relationship with Bailey Ober of the Twins. They were high school baseball teammates. So I spent some time with Garrett Bradbury last training camp. Like, just a good guy, right? So when you're speaking about Jeff Christie, that mean streak, that SOB-ness about him, like, I think offensive linemen need that. I don't know if Garrett has that, right? And it's no knock on him, but I think you need to be a tough SOB. You need to be Randall McDaniel-esque. You can be really nice off the field, but you better kick somebody's ass on the field. And I just don't know if Garrett has that in him. I can see him starting week 1 against Green Bay, but I've been saying for weeks, like, any suggestion that he's been promised a starting job, like, I don't know where that was lost in translation. I know some other local media have suggested that. Heck, if you want to make him the betting favorite, if you want to make him, if you want to make him, Mr. Mankato, right? If he's in that mix, I don't know if he's in that Chris Long mix of all the guys he puts on his list. I don't know if that's just first and second year guys or guys that can make a jump up July, August, but that's fine. But he's not, like, promised anything, right? Like, I do think Chris Reed, the free agent signee from the Colts, Minnesota State Mankato, like, he can play some center. Heck, Schlottman can play some center as well. Schlottman has some history with the new offensive line coach. I'm just saying there's going to be some level of competition once training camp starts. And if Bradbury wins the job, fine, so be it. I'll also say, like, the fifth-year option, that was a no-brainer, right? Like, I don't even know if he was coming off a pretty good year that you would pay a center nearly $13 million a year. So I think that was a pretty easy decision, Now, clearly, based on his play in 2021, it was a very easy decision, right? But I think overall it would have been an easy decision, even if he was coming off a relatively good year.
Yeah, and we see it every single year with every single coach. The actual positional battles don't really start to take shape until, like, the second week of training camp. Because
it's when the pads come on, right, Phil?
Exactly. Yep.
I mean,
and when you're gearing up for games,
so much OTAs minicamp when they're not in pads. Yes, when you're gearing up for that opening preseason game against the San Francisco 49ers. Yes, when it's the dog days of training camp. When it's August 12th, when it's August whatever, heck, they'll have the 49ers in for some joint practices, right? Like, how does he perform then? That's when I'll really ramp up interest in trying to figure out, okay, who will that starting 5 be on September 11th?
We can get to some other non-Viking stuff here at some point, but I feel like you should break the news to Declan that one of his favorite wide receivers not coming back to the Vikings, just agreed to a deal with a different team, unfortunately, Dex.
Yeah, Chad Beebe is now a Houston Texan. Missed all of last year. It was probably obvious when he was still on the market on June 7th, but the Vikings never had even an iota of interest in re-signing Beebe.
Darn.
I will say this much. When he's able to be on the field, he can make some plays. The issue is he was rarely on the field. But just know this, the Vikings never had an ounce of interest, this new regime, in re-signing Chad Beebe.
Wow, not even an ounce, Declan. Not even an ounce.
Write
So
this down.
How many training
XFL
camps
player.
does Chad Beebe sign with the Texans? Do we get to go with? Is this the year that Chad Beebe stays healthy and makes the 53? And now it's Houston's problem.
XFL next spring. Write that down.
That could be it.
He
They announced some coaches.
He is going to be an XFL player.
They did announce coaches like Rod Woodson,
Did I
Hines
say my buddy
Ward.
Randy
Hines
Mueller is
Ward.
a GM?
What's
What's that?
The former Seahawks GM, former Dolphins, Randy Mueller, worked in the New Orleans Saints
Yeah.
front office as well. Did I see that he was hired as an executive?
Wow. Oh,
I
I saw
need to
Wade
text him.
Phillips, who's like
Wade
in his
Phillips.
late 70s, is going to be a head coach in the XFL.
Greg Williams, the former Saints DC. Vikings fans know him well.
Just
He's in there.
pockets, just piles of cash for his defensive players in the XFL. It's legal to pay your defensive players, I think, in the XFL
It's
to
like the
injure
Live
opposing.
Golf Tour, man.
Dude, I was watching that. I watched that for an hour this morning. It was great.
Where'd you watch it?
You got to find their YouTube channel. They don't have an American TV deal yet.
Okay,
I think you can. I think you can watch
Sorry.
it on DAZN streaming network and on their YouTube channel.
Okay,
So,
all right.
what do you mean? What do you? Wait,
I'll
we
pass, no
everything
problem.
we do
Yeah,
is on
hold on,
YouTube,
yeah.
and now you're
I
like,
was-
I'm above YouTube, even though my job is on
No, I
YouTube
just
every
don't,
day.
I don't watch that much golf to start with, so I'll
Hello.
just pass.
I worry about the production value on YouTube.
It's actually honestly like the fact that it looks as good as it does for them. They must have put in a lot of
Right.
work behind the scenes to make
Okay.
this happen. I will say that the leaderboard is like an F1 leaderboard where it's like just a stripe on the side, and they have the first initial of your first name and then the first three letters of your last name, just like you would see, F1 Monaco on
Like at a
ESPN2.
restaurant.
All right, so it needs some production help, but overall, the product,
Give me a
heck,
call.
with Dustin, with Phil.
Well, I
you know,
think they
some
probably
other
need some
names, it'll
better
be all right.
golfers at some point too. They're literally running out dudes that are ranked, 2,000th in the world at the bottom of their field. So
Wasn't there some buzz about DeChambeau?
yeah,
Did he already commit?
no,
in some form?
so he hasn't officially wound up on the PGA suspension list, which came out this morning. But Patrick Reed and DeChambeau are rumored to be next to jump, maybe after the U.S. Open. They might
They
be
can have
waiting until
Patrick
after the
Reed.
U.S. Open.
No one likes Patrick Reed. They can take him. I'm good with that.
Yeah, it's all the bad boys. It's Patrick Reed and DeChambeau, Kevin Na, who takes a half hour to hit every shot. Just a
You liked
cash
him at
grab.
the Ryder Cup here, Declan. Don't tell me you
yeah.
didn't.
Well, he's a Madonna. I'm not a fan of him.
All right, that's your golf
That's your
fix
golf
for the week
update,
here
yeah.
on Score North, Mackey and Judd, and the Scoop. Before we get to other scoops, let's throw a shout out to our friends Declan at Aquaside here, helping keep your lakeside clean throughout the summer months.
Yeah, Aquaside's been helping people maintain nice lake shores for over 60 years. They're a safe product, too. They're registered with the EPA and DNR. It's an easy-use product and begins working right away. Go check them out. It's aquaside.com. They're a local company in White Bear Lake. They're easy to order online. Their products are Aquaside pellets, which are a great option to strip those dead weeds from your area. Go check them out, aquaside.com.
Okay. Should we give the audience the twin scoop that they've been waiting for here for now almost 20 minutes, or do you want to make them wait a little longer and get into some other stuff?
because it's very minute. It's not a big deal. But Chichi Gonzalez, who started for the Twins on Friday in Toronto, late last night exercised an opt-out in his contract. So the Twins now have until around midnight Friday night, as I guess the day turns from Friday into Saturday, to either add him to their roster or outright release him.
There's your Chi-Chi update there that you've been waiting
You
for
were
now
right,
for
Dukes.
almost 20 minutes here.
You were
on
right.
Mackey
Very,
and Judd.
yeah, I just don't care. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, I don't blame you. Yeah, but a lot of these minor league guys, like Aaron Sanchez, started for the Saints last night.
Yeah.
He has an opt-out.
Yep.
Tyler Thornburg, who was good in the Brewers bullpen a few years ago, if I'm not mistaken, he was also added to the Saints roster. Like, these veterans have opt-outs in their contract. So in this instance, Chichi Gonzalez decided to exercise said opt-out.
Speaking of pitching, when do we expect to see Joe Ryan on the mound with the Twins? I see he's now going to get a start, I believe, Friday for the St. Paul Saints.
So, presuming, well, it's actually tonight, so it'll be later today, Thursday.
That's
so,
right.
yeah, he'll start for the Saints.
Winder.
Josh Winder will throw a few innings on Friday
That's what it was.
for the Saints. But presuming all goes well, we'll see Joe Ryan back in the Twins rotation on the road trip next week. But I'll continue to say he could have started on Tuesday. That was an easy first guess. Not hard to predict that Cole Sands was not going to do well, and he did not. So the Twins punted that game on Tuesday. Nice to see Chris Archer bounce back for the Twins last night. Now tonight, would you rather have Joe Ryan on the mound at Target Field or Dylan Bundy? Let's not forget, now Bundy's a bit older. Maybe the Twins learned a lesson in their dealings with Bundy. But Bundy did not need to go on any sort of rehab assignment after he came back from COVID. Now, he came back a couple days, it was like 2 to 3 to 4 days earlier than Joe Ryan. But Joe Ryan threw multiple times at Target Field over the weekend. I'm told he was always feeling really good. It beat him up early. Definitely beat him up, COVID did. But he was feeling fine over the weekend. I'm just telling you, I'm convinced until you can convince me otherwise. If somebody with the Twins wants to convince me otherwise, if they want to show me video of his throwing sessions at Target Field over the weekend, then I can glean for myself. Maybe he looked amiss. But I'm just telling you, my sense is Joe Ryan absolutely could have started for the Twins either Tuesday or tonight.
Dukes, how is the Ryan camp? Because Joe, it seems like a laid-back guy, but he's really good, and I'm guessing fairly competitive, if not super competitive. How are they taking this? Because this to me seems like a very interesting decision. And then based upon what you just said about if I'm Joe and I see Bundy come off the COVID list and start, I'm probably thinking, okay, if he can, I can. Do you have any insight into how this is being processed by his camp of people and him?
Professionally. I mean, it's not like he needs to hop on an airplane, right? It's an extra 10 minutes down 94, head to CHS Field. Start for the Saints. It's pretty low maintenance overall. And he's really welcomed this opportunity with the Twins. Heck, their opening day starter, ascending as high as he has this fast. Does he make it to the majors this fast if he's still in the Tampa organization? Maybe not, just because of their pitching depth. So he has really, really enjoyed his time with the Twins, this organization. So you bite the bullet on this. You go start over in St. Paul tonight, then rejoin the Twins next week.
Okay, I need a fix here from you, some Timberwolves draft steam, because the draft is coming up in less than 3 weeks?
It is 2 weeks from tonight, Phil Mackey.
So there you go. Yeah. So 2 weeks from tonight, we've done one mock draft here. We should definitely mix in some more. But are you catching any steam on who might be available, the types of players they might be looking at as you get into the late teens section of the draft?
Well, I mean, this draft is comparable to some other recent drafts where it doesn't seem there's much of a difference between picks 12 and 40. Like, if you were able to look at double-digit teams' draft boards, I think you would see guys in that 12 to 40 range all over the place. You may see one team have a guy at 14 on their draft board that is 35 on some other team's draft board. So it's fascinating in that regard. The Wolves have picks 19, 40, 48, and 50. Things have really ramped up this week. In fact, they have another group workout today. This will make the 4th consecutive day of a group workout in downtown Minneapolis. When I get the names, I certainly will pass them along. I can tell you earlier this week, first-round draft prospects, Wendell Moore Jr. of Duke. You had Christian Coloco, the big man from Arizona. Patrick Baldwin Jr., the forward from UW Milwaukee. Nikola, not Jokic, but Jovic. Nikola Jovic from Serbia. I don't know if he'll be on the board at 19, but he was in town earlier this week. Jaden Hardy of the G League. E.J. Liddell of Ohio State. So all those names I just mentioned that were in town this week are all looked at as likely first-round prospects. Now, is it possible one or multiple of those guys fall to pick 34, maybe even pick 40? Maybe. The Wolves also have David Roddy, Minneapolis native, in on June 15th. He's a cusp first-rounder, maybe more likely on the board at pick 40. They will have Jean Montero, a point guard from Overtime Elite. He'll be in also on June 15th. He's a cusp first-rounder. Kennedy Chandler, point guard from Tennessee, will be in town on June 18th. He is a for sure first-rounder. So things are certainly ramping up as we look at pick 19 when it comes to the Wolves bringing in guys that fit that mold.
And you just threw a bunch of names out, a name that I don't think you threw out there, but right now, NBADraft.net in their latest 2022 mock.
I want a mock.
They've got the Wolves taking 19-year-old, 6'9" forward. He's sort of a small forward, a tall shooting guard. I might butcher the pronunciation. He's the French kid, Ousmane Dieng, I believe is how you pronounce it.
Yes, Dieng. I don't know if he's been in town. They had another intriguing big man in on Monday from overseas. He played in France. Let me see if I can pull up the name. I tweeted video of him the other day. Let me see if I can find it. Can I multitask here?
Yeah, you got it. You got plenty of time.
I'm doing a really bad job because I've got way too many text
No, we
messages.
got you.
That's a
we got
good
you back
thing.
Here.
Here we go. So on Monday, here was the workout Monday. Josh Carlton, Tevin Brown, Ishmael Kamagate.
Yeah. Okay.
Kamagate?
Interesting.
Is
So
it Kamagate, you think, on the pronunciation?
I don't know.
Ishmael
I don't know
Kamagate?
how you pronounce it, but NBADraft.net has him going to the Wolves with the 48th overall pick.
I want a mock.
So they're
Okay, so
taking
maybe he's more
two
second-round
French
guy.
kids. Yeah.
All right. Then also in that workout on Monday, EJ Liddell, Jaden Hardy, the aforementioned Liddell and Hardy. A guy I like at pick 19 who was in a couple weeks ago for a workout, Tari Eason, LSU. Transfer from Cincinnati, had one really good year at LSU, 6'8"-ish, 6'9", two-way guy. Now, again, I don't know if he's there at 19. Like, that's the hard thing to peg. And I have a hard time believing the Wolves are going to move up when there's not much separation between picks 12 and 19 prospects-wise. So, I don't think you're going to use an asset to move up. So I think you stay at 19. Now, I can see some movement in the second round with those three picks. Do you move up to target one guy? Like, the Wolves are not taking three guys that will be stateside next season, right? So you're taking at least one stash guy, or you're taking picks 48 and 50, trading those two for one pick higher up. Like, I just have a hard time believing they are going to take three guys in the second round that come to training camp, then end up with the Iowa Wolves. Hard to believe that will be the case, even though they have their two-way contract, openings available. McKinley Wright only signed a 1-year two-way, so technically he's a free agent. They can sign guys to Exhibit 10 deals, but I just have a hard time believing they will use all three picks on guys that will play in the United States next season. You can stash a guy. You can do all sorts of things. So they have all sorts of second-round flexibility, but I like Tari Eason of LSU. That is a guy I like. I also do like EJ Liddell. Maybe that's my Big Ten bias, but I would have no problem if they ended up taking EJ Liddell at pick 19.
Did you just drop an Exhibit 10 contract on us?
I did, only because I was catching up with my buddy Dame Murky the other day, St. Croix Lutheran High School. He signed a 10-day deal with the Sacramento Kings in January. He played for the Iowa Wolves 2 seasons ago, played for the Stockton Kings this past year. So he reminded me that after the 2020 draft, he signed an Exhibit 10. So yes, I did just drop an Exhibit 10.
You're an agent now. This is
Guilty
unbelievable.
as charged.
You're unbelievable. You just come on the show and drop an Exhibit 10. It's like we have an executive on. It's like your guy Bobby Marks is on with us.
We should just take the transcript of what Doogie just said for 5 minutes and pair it up with Connolly, who's going to join the show later on today, and just see who's really the Timberwolves pobo.
Who
here,
knows
right?
more?
Yeah, who knows more about the inner workings of the NBA draft process?
I
Nice.
love it.
So you guys have Tim later today? I love it.
He'll be coming on. We're going to record him for the Friday show. So audience, be ready.
Be sure to ask him about losing his mom in the last year and just the outpouring of support. Like, my understanding is, basketball luminaries from all over the world came to the funeral. Then you can also ask him about his bond with the Saunders family. So he stopped at Ryan Saunders' house when he was in town for that visit a couple weekends ago. Him and Flip, the late great Flip Saunders, developed a nice bond when they were together with the Washington Wizards. So be
the
sure to
Dead
ask him
Parents
about the
Club,
influence of the Saunders family.
Mackey and Judd. We are proud organizers of the Dead Parents Club here.
We really are.
Yeah, anyone, it's a safe space to talk about, and I'm being tongue in cheek, but also at the same time, yeah, we've lost a lot of parents on this show.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, I'm right there with you. So yes.
All right, empty the bag here of scoops for us, Doogie. What else you got before we say goodbye?
Yeah, well, we'll get an update on Royce Lewis later today. The swelling finally went down.
It's been about a week and a half, for God's sakes.
He was at the doctor yesterday, so we should have an update later today. Nobody quite cracking I've certainly sent out some text messages trying to accelerate how fast we find out, but my guess is we'll find out when Rocco addresses the media in the 3:30 range this afternoon. My understanding is the Twins certainly have the book on how Trevor Rosenthal threw at a showcase earlier this week. I'm still trying to confirm that they had an actual scout there or if they got the video, but my understanding is they have the book on how Rosenthal did in Miami earlier this week. Reliever Calvin Foucher, called up by the Tampa Bay Rays. He's the reliever that went with Nelson Cruz to the Rays in the Joe Ryan trade, right? So Ryan and Stroutman come here. Foucher and Cruz went to Tampa. So he was already up with the Rays. They sent him back down, but he's now back up. So he will be at Target Field this weekend in the Rays bullpen. So I'm sure he'll be excited to see some former minor league teammates. It'll be a big recruiting weekend for Gophers football. Jackson Howard, Robbinsdale Cooper High School, Willie Howard's son, the former Viking, is who the Gophers hope to land. He is going to visit the Gophers, Michigan, Miami of Florida, and LSU before the month is over. Those are his final four. Not quite sure this second I would make the Gophers a betting favorite, but it's meaningful that he is legitimately considering them. Plus, now you think about name, image, likeness with these recruits. Like, he might be able to benefit as much here as anywhere else. Now, maybe Miami of Florida is in its own stratosphere, the way that they're ending up paying some of these athletes. Not specifically the Hurricanes, but businesses in Miami. But I would think Jackson Howard would have a chance to do okay on the name, image, likeness front here. Also, the State High School League passing some legislation allowing high school athletes to take advantage of name, image, likeness. So look for Jackson to land some sort of endorsement deal in the near future.
I love it. Just 15-year-olds.
Benilde Hockey's
car dealership
going to,
commercials.
Benilde Hockey's about to kill more. You're going to have like Ferraris coming into the parking lot. I didn't pay for this. NIL, baby.
Did you see the Mercedes that E.J. Stroud, the Ohio State quarterback, got earlier this week?
Yeah, I saw the story about it too, yeah.
And I get it. Like, if you're going to take care of any collegiate athlete, you may as well take care of somebody who's already done it at a very high level. And he's going to be a very high draft pick next April. But yeah, E.J. Stroud has a car dealership deal with some dealership there in the Columbus area. I believe it's in Canton, Ohio. So yeah, they gave him a $200,000 Mercedes.
Good I'm shocked the fun police of the MSHL allowed this to happen.
I'm very shocked too.
I don't think they can stop it because the courts have basically just come through and said you can't stop people. So I don't know.
Yes, amazing. But I'm surprised they didn't put up any sort of roadblock.
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
Good.
Just to delay things. Yeah. Very inevitable based on some of these court rulings. But they could have at least probably done some stuff to push it out further. And yeah, it doesn't sound like they offered any resistance. So yeah, I'm with you, Declan. Very, very surprised.
I want to see kids, like, after making a layup in a game, just like pulling out their phones and doing an influencer video while jogging back on defense to the other side of the court.
Like a TikTok, like doing the gritty on. That's a great idea.
Let's get it. All right, Doogie.
Sponsorship on their jersey.
Yes, let's make it happen.
Then pointing at the jersey after some highlight dunk. Yeah.
Let's make it happen. All right, you can find Doogie's work as part of the 5 Eyewitness News sports team and the Scoop podcast on scorenorth.com, Apple, Spotify. Inside information about Minnesota sports teams.
I forgot to mention, by the way, my buddy Sean Sweeney, St. Paul native, Jason Kidd's #1 assistant in Dallas, interviewing for the Utah Jazz job. Also interviewed for the Charlotte Hornets job. Doesn't look like he's getting the Charlotte job. Utah's going to end up interviewing like 15 candidates, so don't know if I love his chances, but you look at Dallas's defense, the way they play, Sean has his fingerprints all over that. He's the Mavericks defensive coordinator. He is very deserving of becoming an NBA head coach very, very soon. So I wish Sean Sweeney all the best. With Quinn Snyder leaving the Jazz, one of his assistant coaches, Dell Demps, is close with Tim Connolly. So the Dell Demps to the Timberwolves front office watch is officially on.
Awesome. All right, Dukes, thanks for coming in.
See you, bye.
See you next week. Darren Doogie Wolfson with a scoop session there. Boys, let's continue reckless speculation Thursday.